Looking back, Super Bowl 50 was a battle of 1 and 2. By that, I mean the first and second selection in the 2011 NFL Draft, Cam Newton and Von Miller. Both polarizing players who have dominated at their respective positions. And you all know what happened in Super Bowl 50. But what if we go back and change the way the 2011 draft went down? The NFL Network discussed the possibilities of what could have happened that night, so I personally decided to dive deeper into this topic. Quick note for the video, because of the insane domino effect and change of draft picks, I'm only focusing on major changes, in which I feel are obvious. And if a free agency move happens that I don't mention, here's an example: Cliff Averill to Seattle in 2013, assume it still happens. Anyways, enjoy.
With the first pick in the 2011 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select Von Miller, linebacker, Texas A&M.
Now with Carolina picking Von Miller, the Broncos still desired Cam Newton. Even though they had a horrible defense, they looked to trade Tim Tebow.
With the second pick in the 2011 NFL Draft, the Denver Broncos select Cam Newton, quarterback, Auburn.
In the war room, the Jacksonville Jaguars call up the Broncos. They want Tim Tebow. After a discussion, a deal is made that sends Tim Tebow to Jacksonville for a first-round pick the following season. And rumors swirl. Washington wants to trade out of the number 10 spot. They originally traded the pick to Jacksonville, but now that they have Tim Tebow, they don't want to move up. So, because they can't find a viable trade partner, they decide to go with the quarterback Blaine Gabbert. And then at number 16, the Jaguars now select Ryan Kerrigan, future Pro Bowler. And then in the early second round, still in search for a quarterback, the Panthers draft Andy Dalton. And now the Bengals decide to go with their backup plan, Ryan Mallett. Some mock drafts actually predicted they would draft him anyway. And in real life, they probably would have gone with him over Dalton if it wasn't due to some of his character concerns. Side note, they still send Carson Palmer to Oakland. Now looking at the 2011 season, here's what changes. In Jacksonville, a revitalized fan base gets to watch their hometown guy lead their team, and it lights a spark. Momentum can do crazy things for a team. I see flashes of the 2011 Broncos. They have a solid defense, and Maurice Jones-Drew has an excellent season. They surprise a lot of people. And then in Cincinnati, Ryan Mallett is just not working out. He turns out to be a real D-bag, and just not suited for an NFL offense. A far cry from Andy Dalton's rookie year in Cincinnati. In Washington, Blaine Gabbert shows signs of being a major bust. In Denver, Cam Newton steps in right away and takes Rookie of the Year, leading the Broncos to the playoffs. He's going to end up having much better weapons in Denver. In Carolina, Andy Dalton looks to be everything that they were hoping for. He has a solid season, and Von Miller is wreaking havoc on his way to Defensive Rookie of the Year. As far as the playoffs go, it was a pleasant surprise to see Jacksonville make a Cinderella run. Overall though, the New York Giants still win it all. 2012. Here's the big change in all of this. Peyton Manning has to make his decision on where he's going. According to reports, his likeliest options were Denver, then Arizona. So Peyton Manning signs with the Cardinals. Well, now questions arise. What happens with Carson Palmer? The Cardinals had originally traded for him mid-season with the Raiders, so I will talk about that in a bit. Here's the overview of the 2012 draft. The Browns trade up from the 4 spot and draft RG3. The Rams now get Justin Blackmon. The Buccaneers, who wanted a running back, now get the guy who everyone thought was the top guy, the notorious Trent Richardson. The Broncos now look to fill a hole on defense, package up their first rounders, and send them to the Bills for the number 9 overall pick. And they select Luke Kuechly. The Panthers now get Chandler Jones, who continues to solidify this soon-to-be dominant defense. The 2012 season. The Chiefs call up the Raiders and make a pretty low-key trade for Carson Palmer. Their current quarterback Matt Castle has a fall-off season in 2011, and at the start of 2012, he is horrible, so this trade with Carson Palmer happens mid-season. In Arizona, Peyton Manning looks strong in his first season, with his new favorite target, Larry Fitzgerald. But in a tough division, they fall just short of the playoffs, but they look like a soon-to-be threat in the NFC. Denver has a very strong year. Cam puts together another solid season, and this defense massively improves. Luke Kuechly wins Rookie of the Year, and this team looks like a serious contender. After the Chiefs picked up Carson Palmer, they immediately improved. They finished the year strong, and they're looking to be something next season. In Jacksonville, Tim Tebow is horrible. His limited passing ability, with an overall limited offense, just crashes and burns. The fan base almost seemingly turns on him, but there's still some who believe they can make a run like the year previous. So the coaching staff is torn. For the Redskins, Gabbert is officially a bust, and towards the end of the season, they plug in rookie Kirk Cousins, who Kyle Shanahan clicks with right away. In Cincinnati, Ryan Mallett has become a real issue. He's just not a team leader and doesn't have what it takes to be a starting quarterback. In Cleveland, RG3 wins Rookie of the Year, and the Browns find their way into the playoffs. The Panthers are okay. Andy Dalton plays average, but this defense is really starting to become something special. Von Miller is quickly becoming one of the most dominant players in the league. Overall though, the season ends with the same result as the Ravens edge out the 49ers in the Super Bowl. 2013. Because of a pretty horrible draft and the lack of trades, we will assume that the draft goes pretty similar to how it really went. But for free agency, Wes Welker now signs with Arizona instead of Denver, mostly due to the signing of Peyton Manning. This offense is now going to be unstoppable. The Bengals don't see any options for quarterback that they like in the draft, so they call up San Francisco and make a trade for Alex Smith after the 49ers believed that Colin Kaepernick was the quarterback of the future. Moving on to the season, in the deciding year of Tim Tebow's fate, Jacksonville is horrible once again. He's eventually benched for a no-name backup, and Jacksonville is now destined to draft a quarterback. RG3 is hurt all season and the Browns fall off. But most of those stories don't matter because the AFC is a battle between Denver and New England. The season will be a race for the number 1 seed, with the Patriots taking home field advantage. In the NFC, the big story is, will the Cardinals go undefeated? Welker and Fitzgerald both have 1,000-yard seasons and Manning wins the MVP. They ultimately fall just short of an undefeated season, with their only loss to their division rival, the Seattle Seahawks. In the AFC Championship, it's between the Patriots and the Broncos. Denver's defense struggles to stop Tom Brady, and just with overall playoff experience on their side, the Patriots advance to the Super Bowl. In the NFC Championship, we see a dominant Arizona team take on their division rival Seattle, the team that ruined their perfect season. But the Legion of Boom can't stop the dominant offense, and Arizona punches their ticket to the Super Bowl. This is a matchup that no one ever thought would happen. After so many battles in the AFC Championship, Brady and Manning meet in a Super Bowl. In a back-and-forth thriller, Peyton Manning leads the Cardinals to victory, getting the best of Tom Brady on the biggest stage. The 2014 draft. Since they never did the RG3 trade, the Redskins now have their pick. And due to the recent firing of Kyle Shanahan, who was the only person who really stood for Kirk Cousins, they select Blake Bortles. The Jaguars still had their mindset on drafting a quarterback, so they pull the trigger on Johnny Manziel. Even though Cleveland wanted Manziel, they still want to trade up and get a quarterback, so they take Teddy Bridgewater. The Vikings do not want to miss out on a quarterback, so they trade a bunch of picks to move up and they select Derek Carr. Since next year's quarterback class is going to be pretty good, the Raiders decide to wait for a quarterback. Halfway through the year, Johnny Manziel is benched for missing team meetings. But overall, this season is inevitably going to be a rematch of last year's Super Bowl. Denver is so close. They just need to improve defensively, and they end up firing Jack Del Rio after the season. Round 2, Manning versus Brady. Another back and forth affair comes down to the wire, this time with Brady emerging victorious. And this will be the last we see of Peyton Manning, as he will have a massive fall off. The 2015 NFL Draft.
With the first pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Oakland Raiders select Jameis Winston, quarterback, Florida State. With the second pick in the 2015 NFL Draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers select Marcus Mariota, quarterback, Oregon.
The 2015 season. The Broncos are unbeatable. With the hiring of Wade Phillips, their defense is the best in the league. Cam wins MVP, and they seem destined to win a Super Bowl. The NFC comes down to the Seahawks, and a team I haven't talked about much all video. the Carolina Panthers. Josh Norman has emerged as an elite corner, and this defense as a whole is right up there with Denver. Andy Dalton is a Pro Bowler, and with the addition of Kelvin Benjamin, their offense has really started to click. The Panthers destroy the Seahawks, and they face off in the Super Bowl versus the Denver Broncos. Maybe this is too good to be true, but with Peyton Manning falling off, there's just not too many powers in the NFC other than Seattle. So it could happen. But right off the bat, the Panthers' dreams are crushed. It's not even close. Cam and this offense are amazing. This defense shuts down Andy Dalton, and Cam takes home the Super Bowl MVP. 2016. Although this what if is about to end, the Tennessee Titans select Carson Wentz. 2016 sees Denver's dominance reach yet another Super Bowl. But who's going to contend with them? That would be the original NFC champs, the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons got hot at the end of the season, but it's just no match for this dominant Denver team. Cam and the Broncos go on to win their second Super Bowl in a row. Okay, so to wrap this up, most of the teams towards the end, with the change in quarterbacks, would be an interesting simulation to see how it went. Carson Palmer will probably be better in Kansas City than Alex Smith, and it's also debatable if Alex Smith would be better in Kansas City compared to Andy Dalton. All of this though is really overshadowed by just how dominant Denver would become. I do believe Peyton Manning gets a ring earlier in Arizona than he did in Denver. This is mostly due to the defense in Arizona being better around 2013 compared to Denver. But later when Manning started to fall off is really when that defense came alive. You can nitpick at this video and say certain things here and there wouldn't happen, but to be honest, it's pretty hard to argue against that 2015 Denver Broncos defense with an MVP Cam Newton. That would be unstoppable.